The human brain contains approximately 86 billion neurons, each forming thousands of synaptic connections, a network of staggering complexity that allows us to contemplate the very stars whose ancient light will outlast us by billions of years. This is the foundational paradox of human existence. We are brief, fragile, mortal animals who somehow became capable of grasping our own mortality, of reaching backward through time to reconstruct the past, and of projecting ourselves imaginatively into futures we will never see. This is not merely poetic. It is the central datum of modern cognitive neuroscience, evolutionary biology, and philosophy of mind. We are, in the words of the late cosmologist Carl Sagan, a way for the universe to know itself. And what the universe knows through us is that it is running out of time, and so are we. The existential question, then, is not whether time is finite. It is. The question is what we do inside its boundaries. Science, particularly the neuroscience of identity, the psychology of purpose, and the physics of time itself, has arrived at conclusions that ancient philosophers intuited but could not prove. Who we are is inseparable from how we spend our moments, and purpose is not found at the end of the search for knowledge. It is the search itself. The self, as modern neuroscience understands it, is not a fixed entity housed somewhere in the brain. It is a construction, a continuous, ongoing act of narration performed by overlapping neural systems that weave together memory, anticipation, sensation, and emotion into something that feels like a stable I. Research by neuroscientist Antonio Damasio has demonstrated that the sense of self emerges from what he calls the autobiographical self, a system that continuously references the past and projects into the future, creating coherence from the raw chaos of experience. The brain's default mode network, active during rest and introspection, is essentially a time machine. It spends roughly half our waking hours either remembering or imagining. We are, in a neurological sense, creatures who live primarily in time rather than in the present moment. What does this mean for identity? It means that the self is not what you are made of. It is what you have done, what you remember doing, and what you intend to do. Your neurons encode experience as lasting structural changes. Every book read, every conversation engaged, every moment of genuine curiosity rewires the architecture of who you are. The brain is literally changed by what occupies our attention. The Hebbian imperative, the principle known informally as neurons that fire together wire together, formalized by Donald Hebb in 1949 and confirmed repeatedly since, tells us something profound. The contents of our moments are not neutral. They accumulate. They build structures. The mind that spends its hours in shallow distraction is a different physical object than the mind that spends those same hours in sustained inquiry. Not metaphorically different. Structurally, measurably, anatomically different. Neuroplasticity research confirms that sustained intellectual engagement, the deliberate pursuit of knowledge, measurably increases cortical thickness, dendritic branching, and synaptic density in regions associated with reasoning, creativity, and meaning-making. We grow toward what we repeatedly attend to. Attention is destiny, written in gray matter. It is one thing to say that time is precious. It is another to understand what time actually is and why that understanding transforms the question of how to live inside it. Einstein's theory of relativity revealed that time is not a fixed backdrop against which events occur. It is a dimension of space-time, woven together with space, capable of being stretched, compressed, and experienced differently depending on velocity and gravity. Time is not an absolute river flowing uniformly for all. It is local, relational, and astonishingly strange. More strangely still, the physics of thermodynamics, specifically the second law, tells us that time has a direction precisely because the universe began in an extraordinarily ordered, low-entropy state and is moving irreversibly toward disorder. The arrow of time flows from order to chaos. We exist during a brief window in which complexity is possible, in which matter has organized itself into forms capable of awareness, thought, and wonder. This window will not stay open forever. The universe is, on the grandest scale, winding down. This is not cause for despair. It is the scientific basis for urgency. The philosopher Albert Camus argued that we must imagine Sisyphus happy, that meaning is forged precisely against the absurdity of meaninglessness. Modern physics agrees, not in spirit but in structure. Against the backdrop of cosmic entropy, the emergence of a conscious being capable of curiosity, care, and understanding is not a foregone conclusion. It is an astonishing, improbable gift, and one with an expiration date. Each moment of genuine intellectual engagement is a small act of defiance against entropy. It is the universe, through you, briefly arresting its own dissolution. Every insight, every learned truth, every question pursued with honest rigor is a temporary eddy of order in an ocean of chaos. Its rarity is what gives it weight.